Right then, let me just, this is a notebook I made. We'll come back to that one day, which has got all my secrets in it. Here is, I'm going to be using my biggest hoop, because this is quite large. These are my magnets that I'm going to be using. But first off, what I need to do is to pop that down there so it doesn't go anywhere, is to use my largest no-show mesh, whichever way round I can get it to fit, and say, well, there we go. Yep, you always need a couple of sizes of no-show mesh, because depending on how big your hoops go, that's what you're going to want. And then, as usual, I'll bring my hoop back, making sure I've got it the right way up, and we are equidistant all the way around. I will fit in the bottom. I always use pre-tensioned hoops, and then slap in the hoop. So I've got a lovely tension portion in the middle, and then I will use, you could use pins now to stop it moving, top, bottom, side, you could use pins here to stop it moving, but lucky for me, with my particular machine, I have magnets that hold the hoop together. So there I am, clipped on and ready to go with a pre-tensioned hoop. For added security, actually, I don't need to, because there's not a lot of things going on, but I will put a pin, if I could just find the back of it to bring it forward. I will put a pin there, and I will find a pin and put it at the bottom. Now, the reason why I do it, holding it up and getting it back in, yeah, the reason why I do that, this one's not so clever, the reason why I do that is because obviously the pin can't get pulled out, so the pin will not allow the fabric to move top to bottom, and the magnets will not allow it to move side to side. So that's perfectly tensioned hoop. Now, I'll put that to one side while we work on the next bit. Now, this is my felt material, my ginger felt material that we've been using for all of these. I don't need to, I really don't need to iron it. Could have done, but I don't. And I'm going to take a ruler that I know that fits within that hoop. This is larger than we want it to be. This is 8 inches by 12 inches, whereas we know our actual stitch out is only 6.5 by 9 and something, I think, right? But I would rather make it bigger and cut it back than make it too small and have wasted a load of fabric. So I am just cutting out a bit of that. Now, I'm only cutting it 2 sides because I'm going to cut that anyway, so I don't need to cut any more. So I need to do it twice because naturally I need a backing to this, which is the same size. So I'm just roughly cutting this. Yeah, so I've got 2 bits and bobs, right, a front and a back, that are going to fit my gingerbread girl table mat. just need to pop off to you that I am using exactly the same, more or less, template. Well, it is the same template. What have I done with me cutter? Really is. Of Insulbright. Okay. Now, this is going to be smaller, as we know, but I may as well start off, because it's easier for me to cut just one piece of Insulbright out of a big square. Okay, so now we're ready to go. We've got 2 pieces of felt, 1 piece of Insulbright. That's all we need before we go over and stitch this out. I would mention to you that I'm using oversized pieces. You know the measurements of what you've made on your screen, so if you want to go to larger lengths of making it, you know, just half an inch bigger than what you need, that's fine, but I'm just doing it for ease. I would point out, this is where we started, okay, so you'll see how much bigger this gets. So I am just cutting to our new, you know, and you may need to release it, release your hoop, so that you can work around it, and using a nice pair of sharp scissors, just work around that newly stitched line to make it fit that 6mm reduced line, and I am having to go in now and fix, you know, curves here, as you can see on the camera. So I am just going in and cutting around the Insulbright. Yeah, and I am going to do this all the way around, which should be 6mm away from our outside line, less 1 or 2mm to the fit of your cut as we go. So we do need to cut this away so that the Insulbright won't show through to the outside of the felt, so we've got no furry edges showing through when we eventually put the 2 pieces together. I hope you can see it be too neat with that, because we gave ourselves a good 6mm outreach from that figure. So now what we need to do, round 5, is to put the felt on the top to start our design. So naturally we want to make sure it covers our design, and as you know, I've cut this much larger than it needs to be. So this step number 5 is going to be putting down the felt for us to start stitching on. Insulbright is underneath, but in the 6mm margin of this. So I'm going to press start, and I'm just holding it down. Yeah, again, you know, people say, oh, tape it down. You really don't need to, as long as you're not silly with it, and watch it as it goes down. So this is the larger line, 6mm away from the Insulbright. We just placed that. Okay, so I've just attached green to do round 6, which is a dress. Okay, so that's the end of the dress stitched out, and now it's going to go into the outline stitch, which we pre-programmed, and as you can see, that's perfect. So bringing it in that teeny bit is exactly what you need to do. Happy with that. And now we're going to go and do the hearts. So I need to just change my thread to red to do the hearts. So I'm just stitching out my heart border in satin. My machine is working at 800 stitches per minute. Possibly because I slowed it down, but it seems to be coping with it quite well, which is another reason why on this density of fabric with, you know, the Insel Bright plus the felt, it's much thicker than cotton plus normal batting. So this is why we have slowed down the density. But I have noticed that at this size, because we've expanded it, I'm getting little threads that I will go and cut between each heart. I want to show you. Right, okay. I want to show you, I want to do the heart in the middle, and I always said I was going to do it in gold. I was going to do it in gold on the little one, but now I'm going to do it in gold on the big one. I've just put up an adapter on here, so my spool is running sideways rather than spiraling off the top. I always put it to an angle where it runs back and forth rather than get wound up. I've threaded it. I should change my needle at this point. I really should put a top stitch needle on, but the other thing I'm going to do is go to my settings, embroidery settings, and auto tension. I'm going to put that up to auto 2, which means I've lessened the tension on the top. Okay, let's come out of that and see what happens. If it doesn't work, I won't show you. Yeah. Right, I've just done round 9, which was the hat, and I've popped white in now to do the fur trim. This is round 10, which is the white, and this is one of the only features I did not make lighter. I kept this in exactly the same format as it was on our smaller one, so I've not affected the stitching on this at all. So this is just how the program has brought it out to be without me interfering with it at all. I just thought I'd tell you that because I wanted this to be, I didn't want this to have any lightness to it. I wanted this to be, you know, as dense a feature as it was on the smaller one. So we're just coming to the end of stitching out the underlying hat. As I said, this is the one part that we, on our original file, we didn't space out. So this is an example of how Hatch or Janome Digitizer version 5.5 will absolutely fill in the stitches for you from a master file so that you can make it as big as you like. I wanted to see this so that you could see how the software works for you, but it's like everything else, horses for courses. It didn't need to be as thick as this, but we brought down the dress and we brought down the hat but I sort of brought down the red of the hat. But I thought I'd leave the fur trim as it was, so that you could see for yourself that if you don't take any steps, how dense the programme will make it to support the original density. So we're at the stage now where we want to do his eyebrows. So this is in black now. So pressing start, and this is round 11. All the black we need, alright? And yet again, the face features, aside from the cheeks, the pinky cheeks, I did not alter the density on. So fingers crossed. But she is looking pretty good at the moment. My gold didn't come out the way I wanted it, but this is a demo, if you like. Well, this is the first time I've stitched it out, so this is kind of a test stitch for me. I'll come back to you when we're ready to do the mouth. So now I'm just about to do, oh, there's a few more. As I've been going along, I picked up things like, you know, you're always going to get odd ends on what we've done, okay. But I'm very happy with the eyes and the mouth. We didn't change any stitching techniques on that at all, because I didn't think it needed to, and I think this is going to go well. So now I'm using this red that I used for the hearts, and I'm just going to go up, down and do a lips. Now after that it's telling me pale violet. Oh, this is, so after this it are going to be, I think, the nose. It's going to be the nose. So this is a bit of a lilac-y pink, just to give the impression that her nose is a bit blue because it's cold out, isn't it? Now, pale pink. I want it to be a bit blushed, so I'm going to use this candy pink because she needs to be a bit blushed. You know, when you've been out in the snow throwing balls about, you know your face is a bit ruddy, isn't it? So I am using quite a strong candy pink for this, but as always you use whatever, oops, right, whatever, pull that back a bit, colours you have in your artillery, so to speak. Round 13 was the lilac nose, round 14 is the pale pink cheeks, and now I'm going to have to put white back in to do the eye highlights. And naturally we couldn't have done this before because we needed the black to go down, and I wanted all the white to get down before I did the facial features. Ready to do. I have done one while I had to go and discharge the video from my iPhone. I did the one eye, so this is, I'll just start it again, and I'm just doing the other eye, and that will be the last of the white. Also, I decided initially I was not going to put a hanging tag on here, which is why, you know, you might think, hang on, how can a first step of the ginger be round 5? Round 1 is the outline, so how big, you know, to cover where to put down the material. Yeah, so you put your Instant Bright over round 1. Round 2 is a reduced size little girl, which stitches down the Instant Bright, and then we cut it back, right? Now round 3 and 4 were to do with the placement of the ribbon, But I didn't do round 3 and 4. I went straight on to doing I think it was the dress, which is round 6. So those are a few steps that we may have missed. Now I'm ready to put a backing on, but I have changed my mind yet again. I do want a ribbon on this, and it's not too late, because I can turn it over and sellotape it on the back underneath the backing felt, so that it hold it all down. Let's get back in here. Now we're at the stage where we can do the backing. So a couple of things that needs to happen. I have cut myself a bit of green tinsel ribbon. Oh, if you want measurements, let me see. I cut 7 inches. Wow, that was good. I just cut it by eye. I thought, oh, that's big enough. But it happens to be, that's bloody marvellous. It happens to be exactly 7 inches. So if you need precise doodads, there you are. And this is a very shiny, nice bit of ribbon. So a couple of things we need to do now, because we definitely want to go back to our ginger, yeah, on my top line. And then I need to take my hoop off. Okay. Make sure everything is still nice and taut and tight, and turn it over and see what a debacle we have on the back side. Ain't too bad to see, look at that. Not too bad at all. Very, very nice. This is how it should be. Well, actually, it could go a bit tighter. When you look at the back of your embroidery work, and you can tell by the colours rather than the whites, naturally, it should be 1/3 white and 2/3 red. So I could have tightened up the bobbin a bit for that. I had a problem here because in my bobbin I had still had the ginger stitch, you know, the equivalent a bobbin. Yeah, here he is. A bobbin with ginger on, yeah. So that caused me a few problems when I started to do different things. So I changed that back to a 60-weight white, which is how I always embroider. So now, having turned it over, I am cheating a little bit now, because I decided steps 2 and 3, I didn't want a hanger, yeah. But now I am just going to splay that out a little bit. Now that lady, using painter's tape, you know, I love my paper freezer tape or painter's tape, whatever you like, because it's low tack and you can rip it out from the stitches very easily. Okay, so now I am just going to, above the line, tape my hanger in place. And normally we would have done this first, but as I say, it's a change of mind. Then I take the back piece and decide which is the nicest way round. So this is the backing of our little gingerbread person, and make sure that you are ultimately catching everything with it, yeah. And again, this time, this is on the back of the hoop, we are going to tape down, because we've got to turn the hoop back the other way in a minute. On the back of the hoop, we're going to just tape this down. Not worried about the top. It's not so much the top that gets caught. It's the side and the bottom that gets caught when it's moving back and forth. So I just put in my what I want to be the hanger. Then I put down the backing felt. Okay. Now, before I put this hoop back on, I've got embroidery spool. This is my 60 weight. Look how thin it is, yeah? But now I want to use my ginger. I want to use this a lot thicker. This is taken off my major spool, and this is my ginger, which is probably 50 or 40 weight. These are naturally, this has come straight off my Bro Threads embroidery thread. So I'm putting that spool in the bottom because I want to make sure that my back stitching is the same colour as my top stitching. Should it somebody flip it over, it's all white underneath. No, we didn't want that. So we're ready now to go, so I can put my hoop back on. All right, so we've got everything as we're all still together and everything is wonderful underneath, and we've got that gingerbread back through. It's the last step, step 16. As I say, if you were following it and wanted to put a tab in, you would have done it on steps 2 and 3, but this is the last one, and we changed the last one to a triple stitch. No, it's slightly tram-lined, not worried about it, but that just shows you how, because we know that we programmed these identically, but that just shows you how the stitch work has brought it in. So I've got a bit of a tram line going on, but I'm not worried about that. When it gets to a bit that was not heavily stitched, it's more or less on top. So that shows you how that hat transformed the fabric underneath. So there she is, done. I need to remove her from the hoop now. That's the end of it. And then I'll show you how I cut around her. So I've just, I've got 2 pairs of pinking shears here. I've just brought over, and now I've taken my magnets, I've taken my pins out, everything else. So now I can remove her from the hoop. Okay, and on the back, see the back? And this is the back, which has no embroidery on it at all. Of course, if you wanted to embroider the back, you would need to do this in readiness to be able to put it on the back. So I'm just going to take away my painter's tape, which was holding it down. Yay! Brilliant. You notice that I put in, oh, I've got a bit of painter's tape there too. I put in the holder afterwards. So now, this is how we are, yeah? I got 2 types of pinking shears. This one, I'm trying to bring it up to focus, as like a scalloped edge. So, just for a minute's sake, I can say, well, if I was to cut that corner, I didn't do that very well, did I? If I were to cut that corner, that's a scalloped edge, and then these pinking shears are your normal zigzag. Okay, I am going to use pinking shears this time on the little ones. Oh, and just to scale, I got everything. Oh, I've got to be careful now that I haven't got anything, it is flat. Just for scale for a moment, this is going to be, this has got Insel Bright in it, this hasn't, but for scale, if I put him in the middle of her, you can see this is the tree hanger, which still needs a little work done on him. and she is the pot holder. So you can see the scale, yeah? You can see, you know, the scale. And they are, I have to say, they are, and I will do the same with him, they are exactly the same pattern, but resized using our master file that we made ourselves within Hatch. So now I am going to use the more zigzag edged ones, alright, and I am not going as close as I did originally with the triangle one. I am going to give this a little bit of room. So I'm going to go around, and you can see what I'm doing now. I'm cutting it out, yeah, and I am following my stitch line. Obviously I'm going to tighten it up as I go, but I am following my stitch line around. Now I'll stop there, and because obviously, stop getting in the way, because obviously one of the most important parts actually is the top where we've got this hanger. So I will just cut in giving myself the same breadth away from the stitch line. Alright, but when I get to where I think the ribbon's going to be, I'll do it separately. So the top one, I will come back and tidy this up. So I'll do the top line, I'll do keeping my ribbon out of the way, I'll tidy up. You can finesse this as we go, right? So I cut the no-show mesh, and now holding the ribbon out of the way, yeah, now I'm cutting to the same sort of line. Now I'm cutting the back, right? So if I pull that out of the way, can you see now my hanger is in there? Alright, so that's how you have to do it. You cut the front, then the inside break is actually back down here, 6mm in. So, but you need to make sure you do not cut your tab off. I'm going to stop there because I'll show you when I've finished. Okay, so I hope we're all still going here. I have just been finessed this a little bit and finessed her a little bit, and as you can see I've done her with zigzag bits around her, rather than doing this one. I did as a straight line all the way around because it's not enough of it to make a decorative cut, but with this one there is room to make a decorative cut, and you can see the scale of it now. I need to go nothing on the back. I mean, it's plain on the back, to be honest, but this has got insult bright inside of it, so naturally you can put some on it, and you can also, using it like this in this manner, you can pick something up that is hot, so it is a usable novelty item for your table. So the next thing I need to do is to make him this size and make her this size. Alright, and I did, as you saw, I did put a hanger on it because I think it is very, very pretty to hang up anywhere you like. The other thing I would say to you is, as I said before, I use 60 weight bottom line with Superior Threads bottom line in the bottom for all the embroidery. I did go through 2 full spools, so you may like to make sure you have enough bottom line's, you know, enough embroidery bobbins made that before you even start for this big one. Alright? I think that's about all I can say. I'll come back to you with him big and her small. Alright? I hope you're enjoying this. I think it's marvellous. I am really pleased with her, and I'm really pleased in the way that she has transpired from a file that was this size into a file that is this side with just a few adjustments so that it didn't scrunch in the fabric too much. Just for scale, I forgot to do for my measurements, from the tip of her to the bottom, I'll just move it over there more, it's just under 10 inches, and side to side, the widest part, it ends up being 6.5 inches, which is basically where we started, wasn't it? I wanted something that was 6.5 inches, so if anyone uses it in their hand, it's big enough that their hand won't get burnt. Okay? So I just thought I'd mention that as well. Will be available to buy the pattern if you're not using a embroidery software design kit. This will be available, and he will be available on levelupdesigns.co.uk very soon, so that you can make it yourselves by just downloading the